Hello, my dear energy friends. I finished Unit 12 of the Star Matrix course yesterday. And the last unit on the Star Matrix course is all about the star stories, stories of enlightenment, what you can do with them, why they're so important, and yes, why humanity needs more stories of enlightenment. So today I was thinking about my own personal stories of enlightenment, which are the building blocks from which modern energy is actually created. And one of the mega breakthroughs came to me via Aleister Crowley and his demons. I was watching a television documentary about Aleister Crowley, and I was familiar with his work and I read his books and looked into that. And there is another preceding star story relating to Aleister Crowley, because I realized that what he was doing was he was taking all these aged symbols that other people had made and he was arranging them. I had a sort of a ascension of Aleister Crowley standing before this enormous table of the ages with all these symbols stuffed on top of it and all these old things, from all these different civilizations, Egyptian and Roman and Greek and Hebrew, and all this mess. And he was trying to rearrange this mess to make some kind of sense out of it. And in my ascension, I just went up to this table, pushed him aside, and just cleared the table. Tabula Rasa. And this was really the day that a young aspect of mine decided that there was no good trying to work with what there had been, but I would have to create a whole new system from the ground up of modern clean symbols and modern clean ideas, and get rid of this confusion and chaos of the ages and start afresh. But that's not the star memory that I wanted to talk about today. So I'm watching a documentary on Aleister Crowley, and he's starting this 3-day blood ritual to raise a demon. And as this is being described, and I'm lying on the couch watching this, I had a major enlightenment experience. And I realized that Aleister Crowley was not evoking a demon. Evoking meaning there's a real demon somewhere out there, and you're evoking the demon. He wasn't. He wasn't evoking a real entity that was out there. He was making one. He was creating a demon in his 3-day blood ritual. Just like you'd bake a cake with a cookbook. Got this old bloody document there from the Middle Ages that he'd annotated, and he was literally baking his own demon, using his own ingredients in this recipe in a 3-day, 3-night insanity ritual that he was putting himself through. He was creating a demon. And when I realized that, I realized many other things at the same time, which is enshrined really in modern energy under the whole concept of the entities. Look, the fact is that people make entities. That's what they do in order to connect with another human being. First of all, that's what we're programmed to do. We're supposed to cooperate with other human beings and connect with them. And the structural way in which we do that is we create an entity, and then we overlay that entity onto the real person, and we interact with the other person through this entity that we've created. So we're not talking to the real mum and dad, we're talking to entities that exist really only in our own field of intelligence, if we want to call that by now. So Aleister wasn't calling up an existing demon, he was just creating one from scratch. I knew that people can do that, creating entities from scratch. This I'd learned in another star event, which was when a young aspect was giving a hypnosis class at the local adult education college. But because of bizarre rules in the United Kingdom, you're not allowed to do any hypnosis in public buildings. So I had to promise that I was going to teach a hypnosis class with no hypnosis of any kind taking place. And on this night of my course, where we were doing past life regression, the principal of this college and some colleagues with clipboards came into the classroom and stood at the back with grim faces and their clipboards at the ready in order to check that there would be no hypnosis in this hypnosis class. And we were supposed to do past life regression. My energy mind brilliantly suggested to me the instant past life regression game. And all you do is you ask questions and you say to the people who are playing the game, don't think about it, just say the first thing that comes into your mind, so that the question is answered directly by the energy mind. And you only really need a few questions. So in the past life, are you male or female? What you're wearing? What's your hair color? What's your eye color? Where are you? What are your friends like? What's your family? How did you die? Just like that, snap. And everybody in the room had their past life persona. And what that is entity creation. You ask the question, the energy mind gives the answer, and if you add enough information, there's a threshold shift, and this entity becomes real. It becomes fleshed out, 3D, it has memories, it has a present, a past, and a future, it has stories, it has star events, and all of that created by our energy mind in a flash. In a flash. And the long drawn out painful version of this exact same process is what Aleister Crowley was doing with his demon raising ritual. This was very interesting on so many different levels to understand that people create these entities. And here is another piece of this puzzle that's really important to understand. See, there may or may not be angels out there. Who knows? But when we contact an angel or think about an angel or get a better relationship with our guardian angel, what we're doing is we're creating an entity of this angel, and then we go ahead and have a relationship with that entity. So this is completely self-created. This is self-created, self-managed, self-sustaining, personalized to each and every person who does that. And that's really, really fascinating that human beings have this ability to do that, to create all these entities and then go on to have relationships with them. See, when there's like a good example are the romance scammers. There may be some guy who's 23 years old and living somewhere in some hideous city somewhere far away. And they bought a script of somebody for $100. And they start hitting up lonely Westerners at random, you know, en masse. And then one of them who's really lonely and caught them at a bad time starts to respond. And they're just sending these script questions out. And what the lonely person does is start to construct an entity of a totally different person, like an oldish, retired US Army colonel who's the answer to all their prayers, and they go on and have a deep and meaningful, loving relationship with this person who doesn't exist at all. This person does not exist anywhere other than inside that person's energy field, and they're having a relationship with them, having a relationship with an entity. So in many ways, it doesn't actually matter to start discussing, are there really angels out there? Is there really a God out there? Is there really whatever it is out there? This is an irrelevant question. At the moment, what's important for humanity is to understand that we can't even figure out what's out there and what isn't, whilst we still haven't even learned about the entities that we create ourselves within ourselves. We need to understand that entity creation process and what happens what you do with these entities once you've created them first, in order to have some kind of a benchmark, so that if a real extraterrestrial entity comes knocking at the door, we have got some kind of benchmark we can compare that with and say, oh, okay, so this angel, that's an entity that I created, and that angel is actually a real angel. So that would be really helpful, in my opinion. So I strongly suggest that when it comes to your entities, to, in the meantime, just go from the thing that itself created, that you created that entity. Because when you take that position, then you've got much better chance to then work on the relationship with that entity. Improve the relationship, make the entity stronger, more powerful, more resonant, more helpful in your life. That's just really super useful to get control of your entities. And it's utterly fascinating. You can see the entities that people create everywhere, and then they go on to have these deep, human, powerful relationships with them. I saw a movie just the other day, a TV show on PBS America, about people who would send out a little probe to Pluto, and they were talking about, well, we love it so much, we feel like it's our baby, and it means so much to us, and when it's not feeling well, oh, it's terrible. And you can see that they're being really apologetic about it, and they don't understand what's happened, how they're scientists that work with data. They don't really understand why they are bursting out into tears when their little satellite is malfunctioning. But that's really as simple as that. They made this entity, they gave it a spirit, they gave it a soul, they gave it a mission and a purpose and a name, and they talk to it and they interact with it. And when it's happy, they're feeling good, and when it's malfunctioning, they're feeling bad. This is human and natural. Everybody does it. Young children make entities from little teddy bears from the youngest of age. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating thing. We make entities of pets. People make entities of their cars, of ships, of airplanes, of all sorts of things. That's because we're human, and we relate to these humanoid entities, giving these things humanoid characters until they become real, and then we have real relationships with them. Understanding entities goes a very, very long way to understanding how people work. And I've got one more super fun entity story that just makes me laugh every time I think about it. So there once was this writer called Arthur Conan Doyle, and he created an entity that was smarter than he was. That was the setup. Somebody who's smarter than myself. And this entity was Sherlock Holmes. And because he'd created this setup that it was smarter than he was, the entity got away from him. It absolutely got away from him. He lost control of his entity. People were demanding to have more stories, and he had to write more stories or nobody would buy his books. And now we flash forward many years, and here's the wonderful thing. The entity now has a house in London, an address, with the entity's furniture and violin and pipe and deerstalker hat, and a big statue of the entity outside the entity's house. But inside the entity's house, on the mantelpiece, there's a little black and white picture framed of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Amazing. Human beings are absolutely amazing. There's so much to enjoy, so much to explore, so much to understand. And I thank dear Aleister Crowley for my 2 enlightenment experiences, showing me how not to do it twice in such a powerful fashion, and helping me understand the whole thing with how we create, how we are able to create these entities and then go on to have these meaningful relationships with them. And once this has happened, then we can do, of course, energy work on this relationship to improve it, to put it into better balance, or to regain control of our entities. You know, if something unfortunate has happened, like what happened to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Okay, I hope you found this interesting. If you like modern energy, please take the Modern Energy Foundation course and become a member of the Guild of Energists and help us research, discover more, and in the meantime, harvest the many benefits of living life with 6 senses rather than with 5. All the best, and I'll see you soon. Bye.